She handed me divorce papers at my own birthday dinner while everyone laughed, until I calmly picked up a pen and did something none of them expected. And in that moment, her cousin leaned in and whispered a truth that flipped the entire room upside down. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit like, and drop a comment. It helps more than you know. I turned 32 on a Thursday. Nothing remarkable about the date except that my wife, Lauren, insisted on hosting a memorable evening at a fancy Italian restaurant downtown. The lighting there was soft, almost theatrical, candles, gold trim, that low murmur of polished diners pretending they weren't eavesdropping. My parents were there, her parents too, a few friends, and her cousin Sierra, who'd hardly spoken to me in years. The whole setup felt staged, like I'd walked into a scene where everyone else already knew their lines. We arrived around 7. The place had that polished warmth people pay extra for. Dark wood booths, Sinatra in the background, waiters gliding like stagehands. But Lauren had this strange electric energy, the kind a person gets when they're about to deliver a speech they've been rehearsing too long. She kept checking her phone, smiling at something only she could see. I noticed but said nothing. I'd learned over the years that silence was safer than asking questions she didn't want to answer. Dinner began normally. My mom asking about work, my dad talking fishing, her father giving one of his endless monologues about refinancing his truck. I nodded, smiled, tried to ignore the way Lauren's knee bounced beneath the table like she was waiting for her cue. Something was coming. I just didn't know what. Then came the cake. The waiter dimmed the lights even more, set the candles in front of me, and everyone sang. I blew them out, sat back, and before I could even reach for a fork, Lauren jumped to her feet and tapped her spoon against her wineglass. The sound was sharp, too loud for the room. People nearby glanced over. "I got you something special this year," she announced, smiling the way a magician smiles before pulling a rabbit from somewhere uncomfortable. She bent down and lifted a neatly wrapped red box from under her chair. A white bow, perfect corners. Like she'd spent hours preparing it. I felt a ripple of confusion, then dread. Something about her grin didn't match the occasion. I unwrapped the box slowly. Inside was a plain manila envelope. No card, no note. My name printed on the front in her handwriting. The handwriting she only used for paperwork, never sentiment. "Open it," she urged, bouncing with excitement. I slid out the papers. Divorce documents, already notarized, already signed by her. The table went silent in an instant. My mom froze mid-breath. My best friend Cal stared like he'd just witnessed a car crash in slow motion. And Lauren, she laughed, a full, delighted, cruel laugh. "Surprise," she said, spreading her arms. "You're finally free. No more boring married life, no more responsibility. Happy birthday." A couple at the next table turned to look. Her father stared into his wine like it might give him answers. Her mother went pale. And I just sat there holding the papers. Not angry, not sad, just done. Something inside me shifted, quiet and cold and absolute. I realized the humiliation wasn't accidental. She wanted a spectacle. She wanted me small. That's when Sierra moved. She got up, circled behind me, and leaned down so close no one else could hear. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Just sign them," she said, "and I can finally be with you." For a moment I thought I'd misheard. But when I turned my head slightly, her eyes, green, intense, held mine without a flicker of doubt. She wasn't joking. She wasn't testing me. She meant every word. I looked back at Lauren, who was waiting, eager for tears or begging or some theatrical meltdown she could later twist into a story. Instead, I reached calmly into my jacket and pulled out the pen I'd used earlier to sign the birthday card she gave me. "Anyone have a flat surface?" I asked. The table erupted in stunned stillness. Kyle slid his empty plate toward me. I set the papers down, found every signature line, and signed without hesitation. The scratch of the pen cut through the silence of the room like a blade. Lauren's smile collapsed so fast you could almost hear it hit the floor. When I finished, I stacked the papers neatly and pushed them toward her. "Thanks for the gift," I said. "It's exactly what I needed." Chairs scraped. A few people gasped. Someone dropped a fork. I stood. Sierra stood with me. I told my parents I'd call them tomorrow. My dad nodded, quiet, proud. My mom covered her mouth, eyes wet but steady. Lauren finally choked out, "Wait, wait, what are you doing?" "You're supposed to." But I didn't look back. I walked out into the cool night, Sierra behind me, the taste of freedom sharper than any wine on that table. And inside, through the window, I saw Lauren standing alone, holding the very papers she thought would break me. Sierra's car was parked closer than mine, and neither of us spoke until we were inside with the doors shut. The engine stayed off. The silence felt thick, almost humming. She looked straight ahead, hands resting on the wheel, breathing slowly, like she'd been waiting years for this exact moment. "I meant what I said," she told me quietly. "I've been watching her tear you down piece by piece, pretending it was love. Tonight just proved everything." I stared out the window, the restaurant glowing behind us like a stage after the curtain dropped. "I saw it," I said. "All of it." She finally started the car. "Your place or mine?" I didn't hesitate. "Yours." I'm done living in anything she touched. The ride felt strangely peaceful. A soft hum of tires on asphalt, the cool night sliding past, the sense that something long overdue had finally snapped free. When we pulled into Sierra's complex, the porch lights from her building lit the walkway in warm gold. Inside, her apartment felt like a real home. Plants by the windows, framed art, books stacked in a way that suggested someone actually read them instead of arranging them for guests. I'd forgotten what that felt like. A space lived in, not curated. She made coffee even though it was late. "Neither of us is sleeping anyway," she said. She wasn't wrong that we sat on her couch, legs angled toward each other, the steam rising between us like a small campfire. "How long have you known?" I asked. "About tonight?" She sighed. 3 weeks. She told me at brunch. Thought it was hilarious. Said you'd cry or beg or make a scene. That was her goal. Public humiliation followed by you crawling back. She was proud of it. I took a slow breath. "And you didn't warn me." "I tried," she said. "Remember when I texted asking if we could talk? You said work was crazy. I didn't want to dump something like this on you over messages." I nodded. I remembered. And suddenly, a lot of things that never made sense clicked into place. My phone buzzed on the table over and over. Lauren's number lit the screen with an endless list of missed calls and messages. Sierra picked it up, turned it face down. "She's spiraling," she said. "She expected you to fight for her. That's her whole pattern. She creates chaos, and when someone chases her, she feels powerful. You didn't chase." I felt a strange calm settle over me. "I'm not chasing anyone who wants to destroy me for sport." Sierra curled her legs beneath her, watching me with an expression that was warm but cautious. "And earlier, what you whispered?" She held my gaze. "I meant it. I cared about you long before tonight. I kept quiet because you were married, because I'm not that kind of person. But I wasn't blind to what she was doing to you." My phone buzzed again, this time an emergency bypass from my mom. I answered immediately. "Are you all right?" she asked without a greeting. "Yes, I'm safe." She exhaled shakily. "Lauren called us. She's hysterical. Claims you abandoned her, humiliated her, ran off. She says you're having some kind of breakdown." Did she mention presenting legal documents as a party trick? I asked. My mom hesitated. She said it was a joke. I laughed. Couldn't help it. A joke with notarized paperwork. Sure. She handed the phone to my dad, who said, "Son, what you did took guts. I've been watching her chip away at you for years. Tonight you stood up. I'm proud of you." His words hit harder than anything Lauren had said in months. After we hung up, Sierra handed me my coffee again. "Good parents," she said softly. "The best," I replied. More messages from Lauren buzzed in. "We need to talk. This isn't funny. You're overreacting. Call me, please. Are you really throwing away 3 years?" Sierra read them and shook her head. "She's not apologizing. She's upset her plan failed. There's a difference." "Yeah," I said. "I see it now." We talked until nearly 3, about work, life, books, stupid movies, everything I hadn't had in a relationship for years. Real conversation, not performance. When I finally left, I felt lighter than I had in months. But that peace lasted only until the next morning, because at work, Kyle was waiting with coffee and a warning. "Lauren showed up at my place last night," he said, "crying, accusing you of abandoning her. She tried to twist the whole thing into your fault." "Figures," I muttered. "She wants control of the story." "She also said you've been planning to leave her for months," he added. I snorted. Creative. Wrong, but creative. By lunch, Sierra called. "Sorry about the blow-up online," she said. "Lauren melted down in my comments section, accusing me of destroying your marriage." "You didn't destroy anything," I told her. "You just happened to be standing next to the wreckage she created." She hesitated. "Dinner tonight? There's a Thai place near my office." "Yeah," I said. "I'd like that." But the calm didn't last. At 4 in the afternoon, security called my desk. "There's a woman downstairs," the guard said. "Says she's your wife. Wants to speak with you." I closed my eyes. "Tell her no." 5 minutes later, Kyle appeared again. "She's still down there," he said, crying, demanding, "won't leave." I finally went down. Lauren sat in the lobby, makeup streaked, clutching a tissue, acting like she hadn't detonated a bomb in front of 30 people the night before. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't," I answered. "Yes, we do. You're being unreasonable. It was a mistake. A joke. You weren't supposed to actually sign them." I stared at her. "You had them drafted, notarized, signed, and you gave them to me as entertainment. If you wanted a conversation, you could have had one privately. This wasn't about talking. This was about power. You humiliated me by leaving with Sierra," she snapped. "You humiliated yourself," I said quietly. "I just stopped participating." She grabbed my arm before I could walk away. I looked at her hand until she let go. "This isn't over," she whispered fiercely. "Yes," I said. "It is." That night at dinner, Sierra looked incredible. Green sweater, jeans, an easy smile that made everything feel grounded. We talked for hours, laughing, relaxed, no games. And when she said, "Her coming to my job today was wild," I nearly choked on my tea. "She did what?" "Demanded to know why I'm stealing you," Sierra said. I told her you can't steal what someone throws away. We walked for a while afterward, just enjoying the cool night. When we reached her place, she invited me up. I wanted to, but I shook my head. "Not yet. Not like that. I want to do this right." She smiled, kissed my cheek, whispered, "Call me tomorrow." I drove home feeling clear for the first time in years. When I arrived, the house was empty, silent. I packed a few boxes, methodical, calm. I didn't touch anything that wasn't mine. At midnight, Sierra texted, "Thanks for tonight. Sleep well." I sent back, "You too." And for the first time in ages, I fell asleep with a sense of peace instead of tension. Monday morning, I met with a lawyer named Mr. Harper, an older man with silver hair and the calm patience of someone who's seen every kind of marital disaster. He flipped through the divorce packet Lauren had gifted me. "These are legitimate," he said. "Properly notarized, filed, everything by the book." He glanced up over his glasses. "She presented these as a birthday surprise?" "Wrapped," I said, with a bow. He rubbed his forehead. "Well, the good news is you're already halfway done. 30-day waiting period in this state. She signed, you signed. Nothing to contest unless she wants to fight her own paperwork." I left his office feeling strangely free, like I'd been carrying a weight for so long I didn't know what life felt like without it pressing down. Back at work, Kyle was standing by my desk with fresh coffee and a grim expression. "She came to my house last night. Again. Wanted to know if you were safe." I told her she needed to deal with the fallout herself. I nodded. "She still thinks she can spin this into my fault." "She's trying," he said. "But nobody's buying the story." It didn't matter. I wasn't participating in her narrative anymore. That part of my life was officially closed. But Lauren didn't accept closure easily. Around 4 o'clock that afternoon, she showed up at my office again, demanding to see me. Security called for permission. I declined. 5 minutes later, they called again. She refused to leave. I finally went downstairs to avoid a scene. She was sitting stiffly in the lobby, cheeks streaked with fresh tears. "Talk to me," she said. "No," I replied. "Please, you're ruining everything." "I'm respecting the decision you made," I said. Her voice rose, cracking. "I didn't think you'd actually sign them. Then why draft them? Why notarize them? Why present them in front of every person we know?" She flinched. "It was supposed to start a conversation." "You started one," I said. "I finished it." When I turned to leave, she grabbed my arm again. This time I stared at her hand until she let go. "This isn't over." "It already is." That night, Sierra and I met for Thai food again. She looked relaxed, bright, alive. The opposite of everything my marriage had become. We spent 2 hours talking, laughing the kind of easy laughter that comes only when someone actually sees you. After dinner, we walked downtown under string lights and quiet shop windows. When we reached her building, she invited me up again. And again, I shook my head gently. "Not yet. I don't want this to be reactionary. I want it real." She smiled, touched my cheek. "That's exactly why it will be." 2 days later came the first real red flag. Lauren's meltdown online had escalated. Long posts, accusations, comments she later deleted, but not before half her family saw them. Sierra's post about self-worth had triggered an avalanche. Lauren accused her of betrayal, manipulation, stealing her husband. Most people defended Sierra. Even Lauren's own mother commented, "Honey, stop. This isn't helping." It was surreal watching her unravel publicly. Then came the call from my mother's friend, a woman named Melissa who worked as a therapist. "Your ex-wife came to see me," she said. "I can't disclose details, but she mentioned confronting you and Sierra at Sierra's apartment. I strongly advised against it. I'm not convinced she'll listen." I thanked her, hung up, and filled Sierra in. She bit her lip. "Do you think she'll actually come?" "I think she's desperate enough to try." That night, around 10, the loud pounding on Sierra's door confirmed it. Lauren stood outside, hair disheveled, eyes wild. "I know he's in there," she screamed. "Open the door, you traitor." Sierra filmed everything as I called the police. Lauren's rage filled the hallway for 8 straight minutes. 8 long, echoing minutes, until officers arrived and escorted her away. One of them took our statements. If she returns, call immediately. When the door finally closed again, Sierra sat beside me on the couch, her hands trembling slightly. "This isn't your fault," she said before I could speak. "She's collapsing because she lost control, not because you did anything wrong." I nodded, but the intensity of the moment lingered. Her mother texted later that night. "The police brought her home. She agreed not to contact either of you. We're getting her help." I showed Sierra. She exhaled in relief. We went to bed in her room. Not as lovers, just 2 people sharing quiet after chaos. She fell asleep quickly. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, realizing how close I'd come to accepting a life built entirely on someone else's instability. Weeks passed. The court finalized the divorce in record time. I moved into my own apartment, simple but mine. Sierra helped me unpack, adding small touches. A plant here, a framed print there. That made the place feel human. We took things slow, deliberate, honest. No performance, no pretending. Months later, her cousin's wedding brought us face to face with Lauren again. She approached us quietly during the reception. "I'm moving to Arizona next week," she said. "I wanted to apologize. I hurt you, both of you. I convinced myself my behavior was clever, but it was cruel." Sierra listened respectfully. I nodded. Lauren continued, "You didn't steal him. I ruined what I had. I'm trying to accept that." Her voice trembled, but there was sincerity in it. A rare honesty I hadn't heard from her in years. "I hope you're happy," she said. Then she turned and walked away. Driving home, Sierra reached for my hand. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "That it's over," I said. "Actually over." And saying it out loud felt like stepping into sunlight after years indoors, a year after that disastrous birthday dinner. I asked Sierra to marry me on a quiet Tuesday morning in our kitchen. No spectacle, no audience, just truth. She said yes with tears in her eyes and a laugh that made me feel like the entire world had finally clicked into place. And looking back on everything, the humiliation, the collapse, the chaos, I realized something I never expected. Sometimes the cruelest gift is the one that frees you. Sometimes someone tries to break you and accidentally unlocks the door you needed to walk through. So, if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. It means the world and keeps these stories coming.